Good morning, everybody, and welcome to an update on a very rare and dangerous June severe weather and derecho threat across the South. So, the Storm Prediction Center has issued a very rare moderate risk of severe weather across areas of Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia today in the red, including Jackson, Mississippi, Columbus, Georgia, and Dothan, Alabama. An enhanced risk extending from southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana, extending through southeast Georgia. A slight risk from northeast Texas all the way to South Carolina and northern Florida, and a marginal risk extending from central Texas and Oklahoma to far southeastern North Carolina. And looking at today's tornado threat, we do have a very rare and unusual 10% significant chance of tornadoes touching down within 25 miles of a location across central southern Alabama, west central Georgia, including Dothan and Columbus. This is a tornado threat you would more typically see in March and April rather than mid-June. So this is very unusual and very dangerous. So make sure you have your tornado shelter plan in place today if you live across this yellow hatched area today, as we could be seeing some tornadoes of EF2 or stronger in magnitude across this yellow hatched area today. We have a 5% chance of tornadoes touching down within 25 miles of a location, all the way from the northeastern corner of Texas, far southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, across much of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, far southwest South Carolina, and into the northern Florida panhandle, and a 2% chance of tornadoes within 25 miles of a location in the green, extending from north central Texas to portions of Florida and South Carolina. So this is a very unusual and dangerous tornado setup for June. So make sure you are preparing now for a tornado outbreak today across the South. And even more significant is going to be the damaging wind threat. We have a 45% chance of damaging straight line winds of 58 miles per hour or stronger within 25 miles of a location in this pink area from northeast Louisiana across central Mississippi, south central Alabama, west central Georgia in this pink area, including Jackson, Mississippi, Dothan, Alabama, and Columbus, Georgia. So we are also expecting a potential derecho across this area today, and we could be seeing several wind gusts of over 75 miles per hour in this hatched area. So make sure you are really preparing for a possible derecho today across this, especially this pink area. We have a 30% chance of damaging straight line winds of 58 miles per hour stronger within 25 miles of a location across this huge red area from northeast Texas across Georgia, a 15% chance in the yellow, and a 5% chance of damaging winds in the brown today. And as we have seen over the last several days, a very large hail threat is going to continue today. 30% chance of quarter-sized hail or larger within 25 miles of a location across this red area today. 15% chance in this yellow area. 5% chance in this brown area. And once again, we have the potential to see very significant hailstones of 2 inches in diameter or larger across this hatched area from Dallas, Texas through Shreveport, Louisiana, Little Rock, Arkansas, Greenville, Mississippi, and Jackson, Mississippi. If you live in this black hatched area today, make sure you are parking your cars in the garage, as we could be seeing once again golf ball, tennis ball, baseball, softball sized hail today across this black hatched area. And some of this hail, might I mention, may be wind driven, as this hail threat overlaps some of this very high damaging wind threat, especially across northeast Louisiana, southeast Arkansas, and central Mississippi. So you need to be really preparing for today's threat. And I just noticed we also have 5% hail risk across portions of the northeast, 5% wind risk. Now, timing out the storms today across the south. This is going to come in many rounds today. So we already have severe thunderstorms across northeast Arkansas, eastern Alabama, central Georgia right now this morning. And as we go through the morning, the storms in Georgia will weaken, but we're going to be seeing a very intense cluster of storms moving into northwestern Mississippi, producing large hail and very strong winds by 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Going into 10 and 11, we're going to start to see multiple supercells producing hail across central southern Alabama, northern Alabama, northeast Mississippi. Could be producing very large gorilla hail of golf ball to baseball size by 11 a.m. this morning, and even across southeast Georgia. Going into noon, we're going to see our second more main round where we could see a large hail producing storm develop somewhere in western Arkansas and northeast Texas. And this is going to be the main event, and it's going to traverse across the south. And this is going to start around noon, seeing a bunch of hail producing storms ongoing across south central Alabama, southwest Georgia. Going into 1 o'clock, we're seeing widespread hail producing storms across most of the south. Going into 2 o'clock, we're going to start to see a very dangerous, damaging wind threat as the storms begin to merge into several lines across Alabama and Georgia, and then very large hailstorms ongoing south of Little Rock, much of southern Arkansas. By 2 o'clock this afternoon, going into 3 o'clock, this is going to continue to move into Mississippi, and very dangerous storms across southern Alabama and much of Georgia. Going into 5 o'clock, very dangerous, damaging winds are going to be occurring across southern Alabama and Georgia, with our first line and our second round of storms is going to start to take on more linear characteristics by 5 o'clock. And this is where the main derecho threat is going to come in. Going into 6 o'clock, could be seeing extremely dangerous winds across central Mississippi, west central Alabama. And all the while, we could be seeing spin up tornadoes across this entire area. Going into 7 o'clock, watch out around Dallas. We could be seeing gorilla hail producing storms this evening developing once again around 7 this evening, with a very dangerous derecho likely moving through Mississippi and Alabama. Going into 9 o'clock this evening, very strong derecho storms moving through southern Alabama again. Going into 10 o'clock Central Time across southern Alabama, could be seeing very strong derecho winds of over 75 miles per hour with this line of storms. More hail producing supercells across East Texas. And then going into 11, 12 o'clock, the storms will push into Florida, producing that very dangerous, damaging wind threat. And even across north central Florida and southeast Georgia, as late as 1, 2 a.m. Central Time to 3 a.m. Eastern Time, we could be seeing a very strong line of storms pushing through before dissipating early Thursday morning, with another potential round early Thursday morning across Mississippi and Alabama. So I haven't shown you this map since April, but we're going to take a look at the significant tornado parameter just to get an idea of how favorable the atmosphere is for tornado development today. So already this morning, we're having significant tornado parameters between 4 and 6 across southeast Arkansas, northern Louisiana, central Mississippi. Going into the afternoon, these very high tornado parameter values are going to move into central northern Mississippi, western Alabama, between 4 and 7. And then notice around noon, we could be seeing significant tornado parameters maxing out in localized areas between 7 and 20. This is not what we want to see when it comes to tornado ingredients. Going into the afternoon around 2 to 3 Central Time, 3 to 4 Eastern Time. This is where the significant tornado parameters are going to max out in the highest threat area for tornadoes today between about 4 and about a 9, and then going into 4 o'clock, southeast Alabama, southwest Georgia, significant tornado parameters between 4 and 10. You need to be really preparing today for dangerous tornadoes across southeastern Alabama, southwest Georgia especially. And going into the evening, this will significant tornado parameters will move into Florida. And yeah, even as we go into the 9-10 o'clock, we could see a spike of significant tornado parameters between 4 and 9 across the Florida Panhandle. So this is a very unusual, dangerous, severe weather setup for the South for June. As I mentioned earlier, this is more of a typical of a late May, early April setup. So make sure you're preparing for a tornado outbreak and derecho if you live across Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia especially, but anywhere in this enhanced and moderate risk, make sure you're preparing now for a very dangerous severe weather outbreak and tornado outbreak today, as well as very large hail in the northeast Texas, southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, western Mississippi area. Please stay safe. Have a wonderful day, my friends.